Tonight's talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, alright here. Oh, simply straight talk.
Oh, Melissa, where are you, girl? I am starving.
Hello, my name is Carla. Would you like something to drink?
Hi, yeah, sure. I will have an iced tea, thanks.
I'll get that for you. Would you like to order now or do you need a minute?
Oh, I'm waiting for a friend, so I think I'll wait for them to arrive.
No problem. I'll be right back with your drink.
Thank you. Let me call and see if she's still coming.
Hey,
Hey there. Oh, I'm so glad you made it.
I'm sorry. Two of my clients walked in just as I was about to head out. I really needed to step out for some fresh air. How are you doing?
I'm not gonna lie, it's up and down, but I haven't slapped nobody yet.
You are too funny. Where is the waitress? I am really thirsty.
She should be out shortly. So, what about you? How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, I can only do what I can do.
Oh, girl, tell me about it. How are things with you and Tyson?
Listen, I am not in the mood to discuss him or my personal life. I thought we came here to have a nice lunch. I didn't know this was going to be an episode of Housewives, Miss Kenya Moore.
Hey, whoa. Okay, look, calm down. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I was not trying to stir things up or create a problem. And for the record, I really appreciate you not referring to me as some stupid reality TV show drama queen.
Well, have you ever considered that all this drama has one common denominator, and that's you?
Wow. Really? You're serious? You are so full of shit right now. I am literally the only one trying to help you out. Remember?
Okay, since you want to be so open and honest, I never asked your ass for help in the first place. And if you were used to some common sense, then...
Excuse me, ladies, is everything okay? Is there anything I can get for you?
Everything is fine. I will have a Long Island, please.
And would you like a refill or anything, ma'am?
No, I am good. Thank you.
As I was saying.
You know what? You've said a lot, and I think we need to change the subject before something is said and neither one of us can take it back.
Oh, now we're supposed to change the subject. You do an excellent job of painting Reggie as the drama king, but now I see how trifling and sneaky you are. And all this stuff about a hotel has you looking like a knockoff Gucci bag right now. You do a whole lot of lip flapping to other people, but when James is around, suddenly you miss humble. So I think you flapping with him on the low. Tell me, Angelique, what does he look like for breakfast? Does he get breakfast in bed?
What? Wow. Okay, so what? Now you're coming after me after I tried to help your broke, soon-to-be homeless ass out. Okay, so you of all people should damn well know that I have nothing to do with him. I can't stand him. But you got the nerve. No, hold on. Let me get it right. You got the empty bank account with a no job having man nerve to sit in here and try to call me out. I don't know what you're smoking, Melissa, but your selfish ass has lost it. I have never put my personal problems on you or Reggie. You know what? Better yet, you can go to hell. Do you need me to pay for your free ticket there? Oh, say it, and I will throw this damn drink in your face.
Do it! Leap into the sun and see what happens.
Ladies, please, can you keep it down or...
You know what? I'm leaving. I apologize for the inconvenience. How much do I owe you for the drink?
It's okay, ma'am. Don't worry about it.
Thank you, and I hope you understand it was not my intention to create a scene in your establishment.
Probably couldn't afford it anyway. And to think, I called you a friend.
Whatever. You don't need a friend. Buy a man some testosterone. Bye, Kenya.
Enough of this. I will pay for my drink.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Simply Straight Talk Show with your host, Reggie Maddox. And today, we got some real talk on this thing called life just for you. Y'all know what we about to do. Let's start the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Simply Straight Talk Show. This is your host, Reggie. Man, I just want to say thank y'all. Give everybody some shout out, some love. Let you know I appreciate you for tuning in, listening every Friday and throughout the week. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody going to the YouTube channel and checking out the shows there, man, and checking out the other videos that are made. You know what I'm saying? So little short videos sometimes, little life lessons, little things going on I talk about. So I appreciate it. You guys have all been amazing. So I thank you for your support and continue to stick with the show. Listen, today I want to talk about relationships. I want to talk about what happens when it gets to the point to where somebody says, it's over, you failed. Now, I'm not talking about somebody cheating. I'm not talking about somebody out here running the streets. I am talking about what happens when you get into a relationship, but the relationship doesn't seem to progress in a way that it meets your expectations. And I'm talking about what happens when you meet that person. You guys have been dating for a while, but maybe when you was dating the person, you guys didn't have a car. Maybe you had a car, they didn't have a car. Maybe you guys have been kind of like going from place to place. You're not in a stable home. You know what I'm saying? The money is not right. Things, just not going well. You didn't get that bigger place. You're not getting that wedding that you wanted. The wedding ring hasn't come in. You can't afford to buy the ring. What is it? You know what I'm saying? You ain't got the house. You don't have the bigger apartment. You know what I'm saying? You haven't really found that steady ground to where you haven't gotten that job. You haven't started back in school. You haven't been able to start your business. You haven't been able to pursue your dreams because you're in a relationship and the things you thought were going to come to pass have not. They have not. And although the person does care about you, the person does have the best intentions, that they want you to have the things that you want and give you what you want. What happens when the timeline arrives or the day arrives? Let's not say timeline yet, but the day arrives when you just begin to feel like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't go from place to place. I can't be here using one car to get around. I'm tired of not being able to shop. I'm tired of not being able to go out and eat. I'm tired of not being able to take trips or vacations. I'm tired of having to put off the wedding. I'm tired of having to put off my vacation. All of these things is a reality of what some people face in their relationships every day, because people are trying to figure out what are they going to do, because people get in relationships and they do have expectations. They got expectations about the things they want, the goals they want to achieve. And when they have these things, oftentimes, maybe they don't fully tell the person. It might be casually mentioned that, listen, hey, I want a house. You know what I'm saying? Or I want to get another car, or I want to start a business. You talk about the things you want to do, but you don't plan, which ends up causing resentment, because a person can feel like, you told me that you was going to get this job, and then when you got this job, you're going to be making more money. I can go back to school and I can finish my degree, blah, 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 blah. But when that person can't do that, resentment builds up. When a person says, you told me that we was going to get married and I was going to get a ring, but it doesn't happen. So instead of within, a year, it's now 2 years, going on 3 years. Or maybe you're just the type of person where you may be living in one of those extended stay hotels, and she wants her own place. He wants his own place, but it ain't happening. And it's been 6 months, it's been a year, and you're going through the same cycle. And that person says, it's over. I'm done. I want out. I'm sick of this. This is something that we deal with every single day, that people in certain relationships are dealing with every day. Now, There's two things I want to look at here as we get into this conversation, because you may be somebody and you feel like the relationship is not progressing. It could be financially. You thought you was going to be better off. It could be maybe physically. You thought that maybe you're going to have more materials, maybe that house, that car, whatever you thought. The first thing I ask people is, did you make a plan? When you determine that, okay, we're in a serious relationship. Now, you guys have heard me say already talk about the fact that many people today get into relationships is quick. It's quick and people don't want to build. So when people get into relationships now where they meet somebody and the fact that that person doesn't have a prefabricated life for them, meaning they don't have the fancy cars, they don't have the 6-figure job, they don't have the big house, people do not have the patience to want to build. Now, if you're in a relationship and you're at that point where you're feeling like, man, I've been with this person for so long and we're not progressing, we're not getting anywhere. I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of seeing my friends go on trips and vacations, tired of not being able to go out. I got to ask you, when you started this, did you set a plan? And when I say a plan, you didn't sit there and just say, well, I plan for us to be here in 2 years. Did you actually formulate a plan to where you calculated how you was going to manage your expenses, how you was going to actually plan out everything you was going to do to achieve that goal? Did you set a timeline, a date? Do you say, okay, in 3 months, we're going to be here. In 6 months, we're going to be here. 9 months here. At the 12-month mark, we should be at this point. And did you have discussions in between that time frame? Every 3 months, did you do a check to see where you were? Then the next 3 months, did you do a check to see where you were? And I think that's the issue that we're facing today. We get into relationships, but we don't have discussions. We meet somebody, but we really don't make a plan. Because oftentimes it's so uncomfortable to actually sit down with somebody and start to actual discuss business, because that's what it is. You have a relationship where you have your intimacy, you have the relationship part where you just have your quality time, but you still have that business aspect of a relationship, especially when you're merging two incomes. When you're merging one household, when you're talking about becoming one and doing something, you got to have this discussion. And a lot of people don't want to have the discussion about their finances. If you're with someone and you have not had that discussion, you can't honestly say that you set your relationship up for success. Because the key thing is you got to evaluate that person that you're with. And unless you formulate a plan to where you guys sit down and actually say, this is the goal for these next couple months, how we're going to get here and where we should be, it's kind of difficult to say, well, you know what? You didn't meet the goal, because the truth is there was no plan. There was no timeline. There was no benchmarks to actually say this is where we should be. So you're doing what you want to do. He does what he wants to do. But then again, when you come to the table, nothing is adding up. You're no further than you were when you first started. It's difficult. And a lot of couples break up because sometimes people who don't have that discussion and plan out what exactly they want to do, they're going to end up feeling like they've been cheated. Because some people feel like it's his responsibility. Some people feel like it's her responsibility. And oftentimes, they don't tell each other. People don't actually disclose the fact that, listen, if we get married in 3 years, I want to be in a house. I don't want to live in an apartment. But if you don't tell your mate that, but in 3 years, you're upset about it, and you're just having like, oh, that house is nice. You're just making subtle hints like, oh, that house is nice. Let's go look at houses. No, you need to actually have the conversation, sit down and say, hey, I want to plan out if we can buy a house. And can we have a house by this time in this area, in this location? And I want to spend this much. This is how many rooms I want. You have to have that detailed of a conversation, because that's the only way you can plan it out. The big thing I want to say about all this is a lot of people run into the problem of having frustration, and resentment. And when it all blows up, it's to the point to where nobody wants to talk anymore. One person can become very complacent. They can become very comfortable and say, you know what? We're eating. We got a roof over our heads. Let's just be happy. The other person could be in the mindset of, no, this is not what I want as far as a roof. We're eating, but we're not eating what I want to eat. There are different things I want to do, different objectives that I want to achieve. And I thought I was going to be able to do it with you. But when it gets to the point where you're just arguing, and you will know because the person will be just unhappy about everything. They won't like the bed. They won't like the color of the walls. You know, they're going to complain. They're going to complain about every little thing about their environment because they're unhappy, because they feel like this is not where I should be. I don't want to be here. And I don't want to be with you. Why would I want to be with you when you're happy and content in a place that I don't want to be? And a lot of people are dealing with that. But a lot of people will place the blame. And right now, a lot of times the blame will fall on the man. They'll say, well, you didn't do this. You didn't do that. You're the man. You should have did this. You should have did that. But the truth is, it falls on both people. Because if two people come together and they have that discussion and they determine that, listen, I want to do this. You want to buy a house. You determine you want to start a business. You determine you want to have 2 cars instead of 1 car. Unless you sit down and have that discussion, I mean, are you really being fair? Are you really being fair? Because there are other things you have to consider when you're looking at things like this. You can have a person that has a nice job, and in the initial beginning, let's say, yeah, he was able to do these things. She was able to do these things. But what happened if that job lays them off? So instead of making maybe $80,000 or $90,000 a year, they've been cut back down to 50. You know, maybe their hours got cut. Maybe there was a medical thing, a family thing. Maybe something happened to set them back. Do you actually discuss how you're going to recuperate from that? Did they have a loss in the family? Something that kind of mentally and emotionally kind of stunned them to where they kind of feel paralyzed right now. They don't know what to do. It happens. And I think when people get into relationships, one thing people don't take into account is life. They see each other. They see the things they want to do. But the thing they don't take into account is life itself. Because life is going to always present some type of obstacles. But when you're getting into a relationship with somebody and you want to build and you want somebody that you're going to be able to go through life with and create things and earn things, part of the process is making that evaluation as to whether this person is a person that's a working builder. He wants to build something. She wants to build something. They're a team player. You got a person that you can sit down and have that discussion and have that conversation about the finances, where you're trying to go. And they don't mind being on the budget for a little while. They understand that you're setting the timeline because you're trying to achieve something. But a lot of people struggle with the fact that they don't have the conversation. And then when the relationship gets to a point where one person or both people are so frustrated and annoyed with each other about their environment, about where they are in life, now all you have is yelling and cursing and screaming. One person may say they don't understand. The other person may be like, oh, well, you're lazy. You don't do nothing. You're not working hard enough. But people get tired. And I think that's something you have to look at when you are creating that plan for what you want to do in life. People get tired. And sometimes people can become so burnt out pursuing and chasing a goal that they just get to the point where they are tired and they feel drained. They feel empty. So you have to know how to motivate each other. You have to know how to lift each other up. And it takes 2 people. It takes 2 people. Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more of the Simply Straight Talk Show.
We'll be back with your host, Reggie, on Simply Straight Talk.
Hey, we all know that Atlanta, Georgia is a big city, and sometimes you might need just a little bit of help. But you know what? That's why we have Legs Concierge Services. Are you looking for someone to help you with errands, event planning, dog walking, organizing, shopping, or maybe you're in need of a personal assistant? Then you need to contact Legs Concierge Services, operating in Atlanta, Georgia. For more information on these and additional services, contact rarmstrong105@gmail.com. That's rarmstrong105@gmail.com. Remember, time is precious, so let Legs Concierge Services help you enjoy it so much better.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the second part of the show, man. Today we're talking about It's Over, You Failed. We're talking about when people get into relationships and it's not cheating. It's not that they're running around on them. It's just the fact that the expectations of where the relationship was going to be at a certain point has not been reached. And we're talking about what happens when that person gets in the mindset of, I'm done. You failed. I don't want this anymore. I want out. You go your way. I go my way. That is a tough situation to be in because, for one, that means somebody's holding you accountable to a goal that you have not achieved. But also looking at the other person's perspective, you know, that person may feel like, listen, I did everything I could. I worked 2 jobs. I tried to cut back on expenses, but things happen. Now, let me say this, because I know somebody else out there is dealing with an entirely different type of situation to where you don't have a person. You maybe have that lazy person, or you may have that person that just has a mediocre mindset. I get that. Every man is not out here trying to do better. Some men are just comfortable. Every woman is not out here trying to do things. You got some women out here too that are just comfortable and they just like, listen, whatever you bring, I'll take. That's it. So you have that in men and women. Okay. It's not just men. You have it in men and women. But I'm talking about relationships where you with somebody and you just haven't met that goal. And maybe that person started out in the beginning where they was really working like, okay, yes, I want to get a house. Yes, I want to get us this. Yes, I want to do that. Yes, we want to start a business. But somewhere down the line, they just seem to stop or they just become more complacent. And I think we have to be able to look at the point in that relationship of like, when did it happen? When did you first notice that person losing that fire, losing that energy about pursuing that house or getting that business? What happened? What changed? Did something hit on their credit? Did something in life happen? Did they lose a job and they ended up having a little more debt than what they expected? You know, maybe they had a car, maybe their car broke down and that set them back. So now they got extra expenses on their credit. Their credit score is not what it used to be. They lost their job. They're not making as much money. You know, they're working 2 or 3 jobs and they feel like they're just overwhelmed with pressure because they're out here struggling, trying to get ahead in the corporate world, in the business world. But then again, they realize that they gotta pull that same buggy at home where they're trying to get the wife and family or the husband and kids. You know, you're trying to get the family moving forward. You're trying to get the career moving forward. And it can be a lot of weight, especially when you're bringing one carriage home with all of this weight. You're taking the pressures of the job to work. Taking the pressures of the job home. If that never gets off your chest, then a person is going to start to feel like, I'm drained. They're going to be tired. So you're going to have a person that when you come home, they may not feel like going out. And women, I just want to say this. I'm not trying to harp on women, but you have to understand. Men know when they are not living up to their standards. A man knows that when he has a good woman and he's not able to provide, it kills him inside. So don't ever think that men sit around and are content with you just being okay, you just being mediocre. A man that loves his woman, he wants her to have that nice house. He wants her to have a nice car. He wants her to be able to go places and travel. He wants to be able to do things for her. That's what a man who loves his woman wants. A man who's tired and beaten wants the same thing, but he simply can't find their energy. And sometimes what happens is that when we get in these relationships and we're not progressing the way we want to, because of things that have just happened in life and we're facing all of these setbacks, sometimes it's not that that woman doesn't want to see her husband succeed, but the weight is just bearing her down. She's tired. She's tired. She doesn't know what to say anymore. She doesn't know what to do anymore. She can barely motivate herself. But now, not only does she have to encourage herself, she's got to encourage her mate. And it's the same thing for the man. He wants his woman to be motivated and inspired, but he can't inspire himself. He's barely keeping himself motivated. So now both of them are carrying that weight, and it just turns into frustration. It turns into anger. It turns into resentment, because we have to realize you can be the best of husbands, but you're still human. You can be the best of a wife, but you're still human, which means you have a weight level of anxiety and stress that you can carry. There's only so much struggle and challenges in life you can carry before you actually just plop down in a chair and feel like, I don't want to get up. That's just the reality of life. So what I want to tell people out there is step number one. If you are getting into a relationship with somebody, it is very important that when you reach the point to where you know this relationship is serious, we are now in a serious relationship, that you lay your goals out. You lay your expectations out. So if you got a person that proposes to you, women, tell them, I don't want to be in an engagement for 3 years. You got 1.5 years to get the ring. We can get the wedding. Give yourself some time to plan it out. If you know your man is a good man, but he is not rich, but he's making decent money, work together to plan it out so you don't stress each other out. If you want to take a vacation together, you both got this dream vacation, plan it out. Keep track of it. Dedicate money to go to a certain spot to help cover the cost of it. Plan on how much it's going to cost for the plane, the travel, the tours, the hotels, the food, and then do you want spending money? Talk things out and have that discussion. Next, be honest and realistic about your expectations. Be honest and realistic. Because if you're in a relationship and you guys are talking about buying a house, one thing that you got to really look at is your credit. That's foremost and upfront, because you cannot buy a house without your credit. So if these are things that, if you have a problem with addressing financial issues, look at getting a financial advisor. Look at getting somebody to help kind of counsel you through the financial process, to kind of help you deal with that stress so you're not bickering with each other. So there's nothing wrong with going to a financial advisor and say, listen, these are our plans. This is what we want to do. Can you help us reach this goal? Because let me tell you something, personal experience. I got married to a woman who said, I'm a math teacher. I'm good with math. I quickly learned, hell to the no, she is not good with no damn math, because she was blowing money left and right. We should have been 100,000 plus income family. That should have been our household, 100,000 plus. But we were not even close to that because she was a spender. She saw 2 incomes and her eyes got big. It failed the relationship. and it put a serious damper on being in a successful relationship where you could possibly and actually meet the goals. And I'm telling you that because a lot of people do that. A lot of people, we get in relationships with somebody, we see their income, we see our income, and it's guaranteed that somebody's already deducting that this person is going to now pay for this. You're already saying the things you no longer going to be responsible for because you're now shifting that to the other person, but you haven't discussed it with the other person. You just assume that person is now going to be responsible for it. And you're thinking, I'm going to have more money in my account. I'm going to have be able to buy this or do this. This is going to relieve the burden. It makes no sense to make all these plans if you don't have conversations, if you're not honest with each other about what you really want, what you're looking for, what you're looking to obtain by the end of a certain period. Now, I know this is going to sound harsh, but the truth is you need to set realistic time frames. If you're planning a wedding, buying a house, buying a car, whatever you're planning on doing, be realistic with the time frames. Don't meet somebody and look at your credit. Oh, we got to fix our credit. Okay, well, you got 6 months to get all this stuff fixed and get a job that pays this so we can pay this much rent because I want a 5-bedroom house. No, be realistic. Be honest. Be honest and realistic because that's the only way it's going to work. You can't give somebody an unreasonable time frame to do something. And you have to agree with each other. What's that time frame? And don't rush. Don't rush to do these things. Take time to evaluate the person you with. Observe their behavior. Is this person somebody focused on their goals? Ask them before you do that, ask them what their goals are. And just have a conversation. Well, how far along are you? Does it look like you're going to be able to make your goals? Just ask them questions. If they say, well, I thought about it last year, but I ain't worked on it yet, but I'm working on it. If they thought about it and it's been a year and they still are not working on it, it's not actually in progress. Okay, that's a problem. That is a real problem. So that's somebody you might want to say, let me take a step back. Let me get to know you a little better, but let me take a step back because I'm not going to put all my eggs in your basket because clearly you don't know how to build a basket to hold and carry things to the next level. So be mindful about that. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with the final thoughts of today's show.
Free your mind, free your voice right here on Simply Straight Talk.
Hey, are you looking for some great music, upbeat and with a positive voice? Well, the song I Stand With You is exactly what you need. This timeless song has a pop version sung by Audrey Carmel. And a reggae version sung by General Steele, now known as Revelation.
Now I know some days you may feel blue, Lord. Trust in your greatness to see you through.
These songs are now available on iTunes and other digital platforms for download. Don't miss out. Get your copy today.
Give life your best and I know.
Are you ready for the straight truth? Reggie, what's the final word for today?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the final thoughts of today's show. Man, listen, today we talked about it's over, you fail. We talked about when relationships are ended because a person feels the other person did not meet the expectations or live up to the promise or what they thought the relationship was going to progress to. Life happens. And I understand you got some people out there who are lazy. You got some people out there who will start off strong and they just for some reason just seem to fade off and just get weak along the way. That's why I say it's tough. I get that. But the thing about it is you're going to have to be proactive in making sure that you take a little more caution when you go into relationships to really evaluate the person that you're trying to be in a relationship with. Instead of going all in from the beginning and saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you can have that conversation, ask the person, what are your goals? What are your plans? If you want to buy a house, ask them, hey, how do you feel about buying a house someday and stuff like that? Have those conversations as you start to talk and start to get to know each other, because Once you have those conversations, you're really starting to set the tone to get a better understanding of who that person is and does their objectives line up with you. And also, like I said earlier in the show, make sure that you pay attention. Pay attention. Like if this person said they're starting goals or they're doing anything, if they're starting stuff and never finishing, this person is not a builder. They're a dreamer. So you got to make sure that you are getting with a builder and not a dreamer. And for those of you who want the prefabricated, everything is ready when I walk in, they got to be making 6 figures. They got to have a big house. They got to have 4 cars and all this other type stuff. Keep in mind, that doesn't mean a happy relationship, because that's all superficial. Because when you go into a relationship like that, that person's mindset is you're coming into what's mine. I am loaning this to you. Okay. This is not yours. I'm loaning it to you. Whereas you go into a relationship with somebody and you build it together, that's that feeling and bond you have, a joint ownership. We created it. We built it. But like I said, take time to kind of get to understand the person you're with before that frustration and that resentment builds up, that you start to feel like you don't want to be with this person anymore. Before you say somebody failed you in regards to not meeting your expectations, make sure that you have been very clear about what you are hoping to obtain, what you're hoping to look, where do you want to see the relationship go, what things you want in a relationship. You know, if you want to get married, when do you want to get married? It's not saying you want to get married tomorrow, but once you get to the point to where after a person proposes, what is the timeline? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Do you not want to have kids? These are conversations people really don't want to have. And people say, oh, no, she's having this conversation. She's asking these type questions, or he's asking these type questions. He's moving too fast. He's thinking on trying to marry him. No. Oftentimes, you got to ask those questions because you're trying to find out, are we built the same? So keep that in mind. Like I said, don't rush anything. Knowledge about the person you're with is good. But rushing in and jumping off that cliff just because you feel like it'll work out when I hit the bottom, trust me, it ain't always water at the bottom. Sometimes you got nothing but rocks. So be careful about that. Hey, thank you for tuning in to today's show. Appreciate all the love and support. Y'all come back and join us next Friday, man, for y'all come back and join us next Friday for another episode of the Simply Straight Talk Show. Man, I'm not even going to edit that. I'm going to let that ride.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Straight Talk Show with Reggie Maddox. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our podcast to your friends and colleagues. And please leave us a positive review on iTunes. Be sure to check out our archive section on iTunes, Spotify, Libsyn, and YouTube. Join us next time for another edition of the Simply Straight Talk Show.